All right, so welcome back for English Language Arts. Our objective for today is I will be able to plan a first-hand narrative of a severe weather event. So we're going to go over exactly what that is in just a moment. First, I want you to do this journal entry. What do you notice? What do you wonder? So this week's writing assignment. Imagine that you are preparing for a severe weather event. Conduct research to find out how you will prepare and what you will experience when the weather arrives. Write a fictional first-hand account of the storm. So basically what we're doing is writing a realistic fiction. Just like the story of the boy in Alaska. This is going to be a first-hand account, meaning that it needs to be written just like that, in that there's the narrator who's like a main character, and it doesn't have to be you. You can use your name if you want, but everything that we're going to be writing for this is going to be fictional, meaning it's not real. So, why do you think it's important to plan the events of your story before you start writing? So why do you think it's important to think about what events are going to happen before you actually start writing the whole thing? So go ahead and put your opinion, because this is your opinion, right here. So this is the chart that we're going to use to help us organize all of the information that we're going to use in our narrative. So, I decided not to use my own name. You can use your own name if you want, but I've decided that my narrator is going to be a girl named Julie, and she's 10. And I'm going to have her parents be more characters in this story. And the setting, I'm going to have it be at home. She lives with her parents. And so that's where my story is kind of going to start. I also have some other decisions I have to make. For instance, what kind of severe weather system is she going to experience? Where is she going to experience these things? Nice for Barrow, Alaska, that was very specific. Mine is just at home. This is not necessarily specific enough. I'm going to get into more specifics later on. But for now, this is just my starting, okay? That I've got my character, my main character is going to be Julie. She's going to be 10. And additional characters that are going to show up are her parents, because she's at home with her parents. And I think that my weather system is going to be a tornado. And I was kind of inspired by that picture at the beginning, because it looks like the beginning of a possible tornado. You can look at other pictures of different severe weather events. You could do anything like a tsunami. You could do a, earthquake. For instance, when you did your community research projects, if you, researched somewhere like Chicago or, New York, and they had a hurricane, you could write about what it was like to be in that hurricane. Even though you weren't there, you're pretending that you're writing a story about somebody who did actually experience this. Okay. So now that we've kind of got that frame of mind, we can continue to move on. Also, if you did something like, LA, you could do an earthquake or something like that. We're trying to put ourselves in our character's mindset as we write, because we're not writing about ourselves, we're writing about a different person who did experience this. So, my character will learn from her father that there is a tornado warning for their town. Julie is nervous because her family has never experienced a tornado warning before. So that is the beginning of my story. And I'm going to add in those adjectives and adverbs about her coming home from school, maybe what she looked like when she got the news, things like that. So, but this is the beginning of my story, is that the father is telling her that there's going to be a tornado. Now here's the middle of my story. Julie will tell her parents what she learned in school about what to do and what not to do in a tornado warning. Julie and her parents go and wait in the basement. Julie still feels nervous, but is more confident in her knowledge about staying safe during a tornado. And probably when I'm going to write this as like a paragraph, I'm going to say exactly what she learned in school and things like that. But like I said, this is broad. This is just an outline about what events I want within my story, and I can add all the details later. And so my conclusion for my story, and is kind of funny, is that the family will find out that there was never a tornado warning for their town and that Julie's father had made a humorous mistake. This will add a fun and happy ending to the story. Julie will feel relieved but proud that she was prepared with knowledge to keep her family safe. But for my conclusion, the characters aren't really going to go through a tornado system or anything like that. My story ends when they find out that there was no tornado warning for their town. So, and this is going to be something that you are going to just think about, okay? I'm going to answer these questions. You don't have to answer these questions. How did your research help you make the events in your story more realistic? So, for instance, my story doesn't have a whole lot of specifics that would make it very realistic. For instance, my setting is very broad. If I actually had a town where there are tornadoes, maybe it would be a little bit more realistic. For this outline, I didn't have to do any research because I know a little bit about tornadoes, and I know that when you are in a state with tornadoes, usually you have a basement. Unlike here in California, I don't know any homes that actually have basements. But I knew that homes in other places that have tornadoes have basements because I watch a lot of movies. Could you add some details to the narrator's thoughts so we know how the narrator is feeling during the story events? So the only thought that I had for Julie is that she's nervous, which I would be if I heard that there's going to be a tornado coming through my town. But there are more words that I could add later on. What will happen first in my story? What will happen next in the middle? And how will your story end? Those are very important to think about as you're just planning your essay or story. Because it's really important to know where you want your character to end up. So that way you can plan out how exactly your character gets there and gets to the ending. So here's your chart. It's nice and blank for you. You don't have to figure out the title first, because sometimes that doesn't really get to you until you're doing your events and things like that. So you need characters, and you need a setting, and you need to start thinking about your beginning, middle, and conclusion for your story. So all of this information that should be in here is really broad, okay? You are not writing your essay in this chart. You're just brainstorming some ideas, okay? And we'll talk more about that later. So here are some key details and possible main ideas that you guys had done for paragraphs 1 through 7. These are great. And so very good. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go back and you're going to read paragraphs 8 through 18, identify key details in the main idea of those paragraphs, underline key details in each paragraph. Here's the chart for you to complete. And then when you're looking at all of these main ideas, look back at these possible main ideas, look back at these possible main ideas, you're going to write a summary of the entire text. And just look at all those main ideas and write a short summary of what the author wanted you to learn from reading those. Okay. For STEAM, let me go back to the HoverCam. Please check in with Miss Eigel and see if she has anything for you. For me, we're going to check in on the plant. So it looks like we got some, oops, some more growth on those new roots. Not too much change. We still have pretty much the same amount. And then this one got a little bitty root coming out of it as well. So that's pretty cool. So plant's still going. It still needs a lot more time to get more roots, so that way it's successful when we put it in a new pot with some soil. And please be reading 30 minutes to a half hour every day. Use Epic Sora. You're always more than welcome to use some Freckle Time for either ELA or math. And don't forget to click the turn in button when you are done. Have a good day. Let me know if you have any questions. I know it's a lot of typing. Take your time. Do it correctly because you can take more than one day to do this. Okay. Talk to you later.